hi. For a change of pace, here's my top 5 films of 2014 because that's what all the other YouTube shows about movies do, and I desperately need their approval. These are the movies and the reasons I enjoyed them in 2014. Coming in at number 5. Oh, wait, no, hang on. That's the wrong, that's the most racist, oh, crap. No, here we go. Gotcha, Franco. Okay, for real, here's a list of things that entertained me most in 2014. There's no world where this isn't on the list, and this movie had to warm up to me a little more than others, I think. I have a bit of a James Gunn issue. It all comes down to Super, which is a movie I'm sure a lot of people really love, but I walked out of it in a haze when the movie was over. It was just so mean-spirited. I have a problem with movies that feel like they hate their audience. Maybe I just didn't get it, and that's fine, but I kind of swore off James Gunn after watching it because it felt like he was punching me in the face. So double extra bonus points for shattering every possible expectation I could have had. Guardians is pretty easily, to me, the best Marvel film to date, pulling it up and being like, oh, you thought you wouldn't be crying in the theater in the first 10 minutes? Well, that got weird. Like, not in the way I love A Bug's Life, which seems to end up on everyone's worst Pixar movies list. Why do they have that list? But in the way that movies that bring up natural plot elements that then get reincorporated into the plot invisibly seem to do. There was quite a bit of ballyhoo about this movie almost ending with a dance-off instead of ending on the power of friendship. Since I can't turn off the screenwriter in me, it's actually pretty clear from the get-go that this movie was supposed to end with the dance-off. Here's what I mean. The entire focus of Peter Quill's character really seemed to gravitate to the Walkman. And just to put this one to rest, yes, he finds batteries for his Walkman in space. They solved intergalactical space travel, and everybody wants to nitpick the batteries. Third graders make batteries out of potatoes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the Walkman. This is obviously one of the most important elements of Peter Quill's character. So I figured it would play into the finale in a big way, and it did in a sort of Terrence Malick Tree of Life kind of way. Oh shit, there is a Tree of Life in the movie. I just blew my own mind. Whoa. I guess I just figured that his love of music would come front and center at the end. Unfortunately, since the villain has no discernible characteristics, which is not a bad thing, the movie was all about the heroes, it's hard to make music matter to that, so I get why they did what they did. This is just an observation, ending with the power of friendship, that accepting each other for what makes us different is the thing that makes existence special and have meaning. I'll take that any day of the week. This movie is a remarkable achievement. Marvel took a series that 99.99% of the population had never heard of and made it a household name. If you look at the Google trends of Guardians versus, let's say, Batman, it hit the public consciousness so squarely that it peaked even with what I think could easily be considered the most known superhero of the modern generation. That's no small feat. Oh boy, Fincher, you magnificent genius. I was definitely one of those people that was like, oh, a dark movie about a murderer. Whoa, slow down, David. But it's not. It's not really about that at all. This is a deeply subversive movie about the culture of marriage, especially that of movie romances, which the book touched on in different ways, but not like the movie did. What is it they say about stars that burn the brightest? Is it that Neil Patrick Harris is super creepy in this movie? Is that what it is? Because he's really, really creepy in this movie, but don't take my word. He's right behind you. I'll be the first to admit that any movie that begs us to see it based on one central question, like, did he really kill his wife? And ends up asking you deeper and more meaningful questions about how the movie Love Actually would have probably ended in a sextuple homicide, but also makes us desperately beg the movie not to answer the question we asked in the first place. Oh boy. They actually threw me out of the theater because they kept saying, oh boy. Did he kill her though? Sorry, I didn't see the end. Neil Patrick Harris is touching your dog. What? This one is movie kryptonite to me. I read this one review where the dude said he didn't want to spoil the cinematography in his review of the movie. I thought, that's a really odd thing to say, and then I watched it. Oh, I get what he was saying. So, spoiler? The movie is all in one continuous shot. So again, this is movie kryptonite to me. I love long takes, and the whole movie is one. I mean, the movie could have been a 2-hour Downey commercial, and I would have loved it if they did that in a single shot, but it's a really intricate deconstruction of what happens to the mental state of actors that played superheroes in their past. I sort of expected that whole commentary to be kind of cloying, but I walked out mostly wanting to give Michael Keaton a hug. This movie sticks to you like a parasite when it's over. I mean, you'll be sitting down to dinner with friends a few days later and you kind of snap back halfway through a conversation like, what? I'm sorry, what were you saying? I was contemplating whether or not Michael Keaton both regrets and also doesn't regret not signing on for Batman Forever. In a post-Christian Bale Batman world, he would both regret not doing anything after Batman Returns, but doesn't regret not doing the hellaciously bad Joel Schumacher Batman world. He never had the option of being a Christopher Nolan Batman, so all of his regret can be contained within being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But if he was born later and tried to rise in fame, would he have? Would movies like Gung Ho and Mr. Mom have existed in the 2000s? Is Kevin James the Michael Keaton of this generation? Yeah, I'll have the queso and a half order of baby back ribs. We're at a Chili's in this hypothetical. In the creepiest movie of 2014, in what is easily also the creepiest scene of 2014, Jake Gyllenhaal's irredeemably monstrous soul vacuum says to Rene Rousseau, "A friend is a gift you give yourself." And when that happens, if you can crawl out from under your seat long enough to actually witness it, part of you will die. It's thematically poignant that so much of this movie involves filming the grisly details of car accidents because the entire film is really one long car accident. We as the audience turn to each other and chastise the characters on screen for the reprehensibility. In a way, it's daring you to stop watching it. If it's so bad, why did you keep staring at the metaphorical car accident happening on screen? Jake Gyllenhaal blinks like 5 times in this whole movie. You'll blink even less, but pee a little more. With laughter, what I'm saying is it's a really funny movie. Yes, I'm sure many of you were expecting me to list something like Foxcatcher or some other film about murderous wrestling coaches, but I wanted to acknowledge successes in comedy as those aren't celebrated as much the same way we do successes in dramas. Philip Lord and Christopher Miller managed to pull off the impossible not once but twice in the same year. For starters, they adapted a Lego movie, an idea that would have seemed madly preposterous before they'd done it. There's a whole lot to love in this movie, like the madly creative use of Legos for everything from location titles to creating a fluid simulation out of those little blocks. What I really loved about the movie was the super subversive nature of the story, and its main target was the Lego Corporation itself. It weaved a commentary about breaking from the pre-packaged branded instructions of building specifically the item on the front of the box and never touching it again. I almost wonder if the people in charge at Lego realized exactly what this movie was really saying about their current lineup of products. It was a push to see Legos as a sandbox in a movie that they treated like their own personal sandbox. You know, like the thrust of Lego used to be. On the other side of the spectrum was a sequel to an adaptation of a late 80s television show that never should have worked in the first place. I adore 22 Jump Street. I've watched it 4 times and I never get tired of it. It's an, in no way vague, deconstructive takedown of phoned-in action sequels that retrace the exact steps of the first film in the series. This theme permeates every level of the movie. There's more characters, more budget, more action sequences, and it's all trying to be funneled into a step-for-step recreation of the first film by the characters and the plot within it. The structure begins to fall apart, forcing an entirely new story that just happens to be about the attempt to recreate the success of 21 Jump Street. Maybe you could say they had taken it to another level and they had a particular set of skills like Liam Neeson was taking. I'm saying Home Alone 2 is just Home Alone 1 again. Sorry, Kevin McAllister.